I was born to read, literally. My mom started my whole reading life when I was 3 months old. She would read me stories such as Where the Wild Things Are. That was my all-time favorite book. And eventually at 6 months old, I started flipping through the pages. And in fact, I was reading before I was talking. And at 3 years old is when I officially started reading according to my mom. But when I was like 5 or 6, I took a little hiatus from reading and started watching wrestling a lot with my dad. Eventually, though, I decided to get back into reading, and I read books such as The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham. When I lived in Maumelle, Arkansas, my family would always ride our bikes to the local library, and we would read to our heart's content. But at 11 was my biggest reading conquest yet, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. After that, some books I read were Around the World in 80 Days or Less, The War of the Worlds, and Swiss Family Robinson. And the book I have read the most in my lifetime is the Bible. The Bible is my roadmap to my life, basically. But clearly, my favorite thing to read is anything that involves history or a biography or anything like that. And my current book I'm reading right now is Beyond Belief by former drug addict and Major League Baseball All-Star Josh Hamilton. It is an inspirational book, and I suggest you read it. In addition to my reading exploits, my parents are also passionate about reading. But they read totally different things. For example, my mom likes to read historical fiction and biographies. However, my dad likes to read newspapers and magazines. In high school, classmates often told me that I was a very fast reader. One time, I finished a short story well before anyone was even close to finishing. A classmate was stunned on how I managed to finish so quickly. But I don't really subconsciously intend to read as fast as possible. My speed reading ability comes naturally. But there's one interesting aspect about my reading. I will only read books that interest me. But there is an exception to that rule. I had a teacher in English class who read Macbeth to us. Before the class, I was never really interested in English literature, but thanks to her teaching ability, I regained interest. I became interested in Macbeth, and it's one of my favorite stories. And my brother Kyle is even more passionate about reading than I am. He likes to read pretty much anything he can get his hands on, especially books. And thank you for your time, and I hope that my literary history is broad and diverse, that I have left out many more things I have read.